Okay, fans, welcome to Sports Chat. Today we've got Coach Justin Price. We've wrapped up the season. We were going to get your thoughts on the season, thoughts on next season. We'll go ahead and start out. This season was magic. 10 wins, winning the playoffs. How did that feel as a coach to finally have the program to that level?
We came in here, a couple years ago, and we knew that we thought we could do some things that had never been done. We felt like that the community and the school was set up to have a very successful program if you came in and did it the right way, and your kids did it the right way, and the support that we got from day one up until now has just been hard to put into words, and it's been really a collective effort for all of us to buy into what we wanted to do. To kind of in year 3 be able to have the season we've had has just been very humbling for all of us, and something we'll be very proud of and talk about for a long time.
Of course, today, kind of a big day in the program, to say the least, with the all-district coming out. Of course, your coach of the year in the district. The offensive player of the year from the district is Ethan Jeffers, the quarterback, and of course, Nick Bailey, Mr. kind of everything for the team, is the defensive player of the year. That's unprecedented. I was talking to Jason Davis of the Sevier County Mountain Press, and he was like, of all my years of covering Campbell County, I'd never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was very humbling for me to be named coach of the year. Just kind of speaks about our staff and the hard work that they put in. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and those guys have really bought into what we're trying to do and stayed positive and really developed a relationship with kids and developed them into super athletes, but also good people, high character guys. And I think that's what the biggest thing you look for. But to be named the coach of the year is something I'll cherish for a very long time. But the credit's got to go to the staff and all of our players who are out there making a play. And then for player of the year, to have the offensive and defensive player of the year in the same year in the district is just again speaks about what type of season we've had, what type of effort that these kids have put into, and although I know it says Ethan Jeffers and Nick Bailey next to the awards, but yeah, that's such a team accomplishment that everybody can take pride in. And Ethan had a phenomenal year, throwing for over 3,300 yards, 39 touchdowns, just as a junior. And so we got him back next year. We're excited about what he can do, but it's time right now to kind of reflect on what he did do, and that was just lead our offense to uncharted waters, to set all kinds of records, and play with the confidence that he did. And then Nick, like you were saying, just kind of the emotional leader for us, kind of the toughest kid we had. When it was 4th and 1 or something, we gave him the ball, and teams knew it was coming. Most people couldn't stop it, but defensively, just what he meant to that side of the football is just something we won't replace him. We hopefully by a group effort we can find guys that can do what he does, but Nick is just a special athlete, kind of once in a career that you get to coach a guy that can do so many things. He's just such a smart player, intelligently. He gets things very fast, and once he gets them, he remembers it. And just also his natural ability. And Matt did a really good job with him at linebacker, helping him understand reads and how important he was to our defense and what role he played, and he played it very well.
I know as a coach, you're always going to think you're going to win every game, and that's the way you have to be, and that's the way you have to prepare your team. But realistically, we talked about this in spring, we talked about it in fall, could you ever have saw a 7-win improvement this season?
That was one thing that we stressed as a coaching staff this offseason, was not to look ahead, really focus on being 1-0. And you hear that a lot in the college game right now, these coaches like James Franklin and Vandy, and most of these guys are rebuilding jobs. They really try to get their kids and their program to focus on the next opponent, But it's, I'd be sitting here lying if I didn't say, there's sometimes you look at that schedule and you see games that you should win or you could win, games that you may need a lot of luck or whatever. But, for our program, I was very proud of our coaching staff, our players have taken it week by week to get to 10 wins. And again, if you told me we went from 3 to 10, it'd been hard for me to believe it. But, it's just a testament to our kids who came in with that focus from day one. About this time last year was when we made a commitment to learn how to finish everything that we do. And, a year later, sitting here with 10 wins is just very humbling, and super proud of those guys.
Now, outside of Nick Bailey, you have a small senior class, but, man, it's a big impact on your program.
Yeah, the impact that they've made on our football team, those 8 seniors, and you know, really about 4 or 5 of them played meaningful minutes. You know, with Nick, we've always talked about him. Andrew Evans played both sides. Corey Phillips started both ways. Christian Monday defensively, just a big threat in the middle, and then Anthony Manning kind of came on there towards late in the season on both sides of the ball as well. So it's going to be hard to replace those guys. It really is. You know, we got a lot of guys back. You know, like I said, we only lose 8 seniors, but the impact that those guys made on the field that everybody got to see is going to be hard to replace. But really, the impact that they made off the field in the locker room, in the weight room, the leadership that they presented every single day, the way they carried themselves. You know, they're very accountable to each other and very use their time very efficient up there. And I think that's something we got to find guys that can replace that more so than what they did on the field.
Now, speaking of seniors, he didn't, you know, he wasn't, you know, name called a lot of that, but I also noticed that Colton Irwin, who I also believe is a senior, was named the Academic All-District Player of the Year.
Yeah, they do an academic all-district for each team in the district, so only the 10 or 11 guys get that. And, you know, Colton was one of those guys, he played for 4 years, did, you know, very a true team player. You know, you look at a guy that kind of put himself to the side for the greater of the team, and, you know, he came to practice every day, worked out every day, did things that will make him a better person in the long run, and that's what this is all about in the end. But you know, he's a guy that balances playing football and baseball with academics, and has held, like, I think it's a 3.7, 3.6 GPA. So those are things that's really, as a coach, you're just as proud as that as you are somebody making 15, 20 tackles a night, because you know these kids you learn at a young age how to balance those things, and anybody that can do it at the level he did is something that needs to be rewarded, and we're very proud of it.
Right, and you know, like I said, I definitely want to make sure he got some recognition on the show today too.
Now, I was looking at the playoff survivors as of now. I think there are 18 teams left, I believe is what it was, but I want to say 5 or 6 of them had 3 to 5 losses. So, I mean, through this TSSAA seeding and everything, and I'm looking towards next year, the record may not be 9-1 next year. Some teams are going to improve. You never know with high school football, but teams with a few losses can make a run in the playoffs according to how their district breaks down and how their brackets break down. How do you feel about the brackets, though? That like your quad was extremely tough immediately, and then you have this Fulton Greenville pod where probably the 2 best teams in the state had to play in the 2nd or 3rd round. Do you wish TSSAA would maybe alter that a little bit?
Well, you know, I think, you know, first you look at those records, those teams that may have had 3 or 4 losses. I think a lot of it goes back to a program's experience and understanding big picture here, and I think our program has seen that now, that, you know, once you get in the playoffs, it's what you've done prior to that doesn't really matter anymore. You got to go out every week, and you're going to play tough opponents. The way that the system's set up, you know, usually if you're 9-1, your first round game may be somebody you should beat, but your 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, you're going to be playing the best of the best in your area. So, you know, our kids and our program, as we continue to grow and progress and what we want to be, is that mindset of understanding, okay, you got to divide this thing up in 2 different things. You got your regular season, your 10 wins that can set you up for some good things in the playoffs. But when you get in the playoffs, you know, you start fresh, and you're going to play some stiff competition. So sometimes, you know, those early losses, if you see the big picture, don't mean as much to a program as they may for us right now. But, you know, TSSAA, you know, the way they have it set up right now is something a lot of coaches, you know, across the state may not agree with. You know, for me, you know, I'm going to agree with it because it's what we got. You know, I feel like that, you know, sooner or later you got to play the best, whether it's the 2nd round, 1st round, or the state championship game. You're going to have to play a team like Knox West or, you know, Henry County or something, those teams that are really at the top all year long. So, you know, I sometimes you wish there was a way that you could maybe face them later on. But, you know, I think the way the state's laid out geographically, you know, these East Tennessee teams, you know, we almost got to beat up on each other before we go play those Nashville and Memphis teams.
That's true. East Tennessee is pretty much the power. You know, most of the state trophies end up residing here.
Now, it's obviously the off season for you now. I mean, and you have the weightlifting class anyway, but have you really launched into off season, or are you still in that organizing everything post-season mode?
Well, you know, TSSAA, it's mandatory to have a 3-week dead period after your final game. So we're in that kind of in that phase right now where we're getting our players away from football so they can focus on family time, focus on getting their academics, focus on other things than football. Being a teenager in high school, really. And I think it's good for. I think it's healthy for our program for us to be away from each other for a while. So we're in that phase right now. With that being said, we're organizing the weight room right now, organizing the equipment room, getting all our stuff taken up to kind of put this season in the past. And when those guys come after Thanksgiving, about another week and a half, we'll start back in. And everything's kind of fresh and ready to go.
Right. That's a part that a lot of people never see, never realize that goes on there. How football, even though it's really the shortest season of any of the sports, it never really ends, especially as a coach.
No, it doesn't. And if you want to play at the highest level, especially in 5A football, the weight room is so important. And I think that's one thing that we've made huge strides on the past 2.5 years is in the weight room. And we were fortunate enough when we first got here to have the support to able to buy new equipment in there that our players enjoy being in there. And Matt kind of heads that up, and he does a good job getting those guys' strength up. And really individually too, certain guys need to work on certain things. So we try to focus in on each player and figure out what they can do to help our team in the future. And our kids love doing that right now. That's something some of them are already doing some voluntary stuff right now in the weight room, and we'll stay on them, and we'll start that thing back up in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Now, their stadium improvements are coming. Are they going to be throughout the winter, or is that going to be over the summer?
Yeah, that's something that they're still. I guess they're getting blueprints and all that stuff right now, but it should be starting pretty soon. I think the weather dictates a lot with that concrete when you can pour it and all that. But it's I've been able to look at some things and what the plans are, and it's going to be a nice place to watch a football game. It already is a nice place, but I think it's going to be a little more comfortable. And I think hopefully we're going to get some renovations to the press box eventually, and also in the concession stand, maybe add some restrooms. The crowds that we were able to have this year were just tremendous. We almost tripled the amount, the attendance that we've had in the past couple of years. So we're going to hopefully keep that up and maybe even make it bigger. And with that, you got to make sure you have the facilities to accommodate all those people.
Honestly, it seems like you doubled a lot of the away teams' attendance this year, the way the crowd traveled with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We talk about our program growing on the field with the 10 wins, but if you look off the field with our support, and our fans have continued to progress with us, and like I'm saying, all those little things, the way we fill up the visiting side of a way when we go on the road, and the way that we get the police escorts through the town, and people are stopping and celebrating with our kids, and that's it's something that we hope we're still not where we want to be. I feel like there's areas we can improve on, but just the progress we've made at this point has just been fun to watch.
Now, next year will be just a true mirror image of this past year's schedule, the road and the way. This past year, it was kind of a strange situation where you got to play 2 years in a row at some places and got 2 games at home at some places.
Yeah.
Next year's just a flip.
Yeah, everything's a 2-year agreement right now, so we play the same schedule. It's going to be, if we were home last year, we'll be away this year, like you were saying. So it's and then after that, there's talks of maybe even realigning districts and doing different things, going back to 5 classifications. So it'll be kind of up in the air after that. And so we're right now, it looks like we're going to be the same. We're still looking at Lynn Camp. You make sure that we keep them on schedule. Them being out of state, sometimes you can run into some conflict, but I think right now everything's looking good.
Right, and next year, of course, we travel to Cumberland Gap. Hoping that becomes a true rivalry, kind of like we had with Scott County for years.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for both communities, and I know we're a bigger program than them right now, and they didn't have the success last year that they typically do. They typically win 6 to 8 ball games every year. So Coach Russell does a great job, and he'll have those guys playing at a high level. So we're gonna have our hands full with them. That'll be our first game next year. But I think you saw when we played them this year. I think it's good that a lot of family ties there. There's a lot of friendly rivalry with us and Cumberland Gap that I think will be good for both schools. And when we go up there next year, I'm sure we'll bring a huge crowd and be part of the biggest crowds they have all year. And I think it's good for especially the smaller schools, to have those big crowds, and kids get to experience that on a Friday night.
It definitely kind of helps them with their pocketbook too.
Yeah.
Those smaller programs usually need all the economic help they can
Yeah,
get.
no doubt about that.
Now, I know it's further out in the future. After the Lynn Camp rolls off the schedule, are you going to look at scheduling maybe a bigger school? I know it helps your playoff seeding to play bigger and schools with more wins, and there's a strange out-of-state element to the playoffs too.
Yeah, it is, and you know the one thing that we've always said when we got here when it comes to scheduling is, you know, at the end of the year, whether if you're 10-0 or 7-3 or 5-5, nobody really asks who you beat. They just say, you know, hey, you were 9-1, and that's the philosophy that we've taken. But also in our program, you know, the culture, changing the culture, the mindset's so important of creating that winning attitude and that winning mentality, and nothing creates that like going out and winning games. So we try to schedule teams we thought that we could compete with, and we know we couldn't show up and beat anybody. So, you know, I think once after these 2-year agreements run out, obviously the competition gets stiff for us just because of the success that we've had this year. You know, teams will be looking at maybe another opponent to play, but hopefully we can especially keep the Cumberland gap, because I think that means a lot to community. And I think that's what sports is all about, is bringing communities together.
I feel the same, like I said, the Scott County rivalry was that for years.
Really enjoy to see, maybe if you could ever schedule it. Oh, not, I know you play in some 7-on-7s, you play in some scrimmages. They're a natural rivalry that carries over from La Follette and Jacksonville.
Right, and that's been right. And it's been tough to do that over the last couple of years with the way the playoff seedings are falling into place, because it is all about wins. You know, that's the number one thing they look at to make the playoffs, wins. You know, if they go back to the way it used to, where it all matters is where you finish in your district. If you're a top 4 team, you advance. If you're not, you don't. So if it goes back to that, these smaller schools are more likely to play the bigger schools, because that loss will not hurt them when it comes to playoff time. And right now, that's something that TSA, once they get that figured out, that'll help dictate who we play in the future.
I sincerely hope it really doesn't go back to 5, to be honest with you.
If it does, I hope we don't go back into the Big East.
It's
Yeah,
tough.
I think based on some calculations I've seen, and when they went to this, you know, Z plan with 6 classifications, they looked at going to 5. And you know, with our enrollments went down over the last couple of years, and there's been a lot of schools built up, especially in the Nashville area, that have their populations just increased. You know, it looks like we'd be almost a kind of a bigger 4A school, which I think will be helpful, and probably play a lot of the same teams that we're playing right now. Realistically, you know, we don't have a lot of 6A teams in our class.
I would say as long as we would go down to 4, because it's really hard to compete with schools that have those 2,500 student enrollments. And that's what those big 6A schools have.
Right. You know, it is, and you know, with us is, you know, I feel like we've got the talent and the population to compete with the 4A, what the old 4A schools were, which is, you know, kind of like 5A right now. So, you know, I like the setup the way it is right now. You know, I'd like to possibly see some change up with the playoff seedings and how they do that. But, you know, there's no perfect system out there, and that's why I told our kids, you just play the guys you play, and you just keep getting better every day. And you know, in the end, Tiffany's not telling us how to play, so we go out there and make sure we play at a high level. And the only way to do that is just prepare every single day like you're going to play the best.
Well, I know you have your football back coming up soon. I think Matt mentioned it's going to be a little later in the year this year.
Yeah, it is. You know, we felt like, you know, in the past we've done it the 1st of December, but we hadn't had any play. You know, we're playing 2 weeks longer. That kind of pushes everything back, that you go straight into Thanksgiving. So we've not, you know, there's a lot going on right now, and we're going to, hopefully, the all-state teams come out in December, and we're really going to try to push and politic to get some guys on there. You know, Camp County's never had an all-state player here. And, you know, this team's done so many things that's never been done here, but we hope we can kind of cap it off with an all-state player.
Fantastic. Honestly, if you look at the record and the numbers of Jeffers, Bailey, Joe Elkins, and a couple of other guys, they're legitimate all-state contenders.
No doubt. I think Jeffers wind up leading the state. I know in 5A in passing yards, maybe all across the state. There may be one other guy that threw more than he did. And you think about Nick Bailey, his numbers were high, but you know, you kind of say he was like pretty much a unanimous defense player of the year in our district. And you know, there's not many better linebackers that I've seen play the way he does. So then you look at Joseph Elkin's stats with over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. That's going to be as good as anybody anywhere.
You all had, I said, with several players on the state leaderboards, and Nick, he does so much for the team and just did everything for the team. Hopefully the voters will realize some of that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But, and you know, stats are, you know, a lot of times don't mean a whole lot. You know, what's the big thing that's going to help our kids is being 10-2. You know, finishing the AP poll ranked 4th in the state. You know, I think that's going to garner more attention than just their pure numbers. But when they look at the numbers, those guys are going to stand out as well. And, you know, we are where we are because we got some good players and guys that play with a play with high focus, but have a lot of talent too that understand how to use that talent to benefit our team.
Now, who votes on the All-State? Is it Associated Press members across the state? Or
Yeah,
is
it's
it-
Associated Press. It's the same people that voted us number 4 in the state. So obviously we're not a secret anymore. It's not
Right,
like
they've
it's-
recognized you
I
already.
didn't know if it was that or if it was a coach's choice, like some of the district.
Yeah, the all district, that's more coaches and stuff like that, but more localized. But when we talk about all state, they're going to be. I'm sure there's riders from all over the place that but we'll send our numbers out. And like I said, a lot of that stuff don't mean a whole lot. What matters is our kids went 10-2 and they enjoy that. But at the same time, I think it'd be big for our program for you to get our first all-state player.
Oh, everything like that helps. And I say, Campbell County's always had a good fan base, but you see what it's not just winning football; it's exciting winning football to the fans.
Yeah, and that's something that we try to take a lot of pride in. Is make sure that number one that we play with a lot of passion and play with a focus where when we play quality football, that the fans that come and they spend their hard work and money to come watch us play, that we give them something that they enjoy.
Oh, I mean, I go to every game, obviously, and it was like riding a roller coaster this year.
Oh yeah, it's been some. That's why I was telling somebody today, we
Wild
had
rides.
4 or 5 games just come down to the last 2 minutes of the game. We were lucky to win all but one of those, so it's definitely got your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the Clinton game. You're on the you only need the edge of your seat, as the old saying goes. When
You
watch
pay for
Campbell
the whole
County.
seat, but you only need the edge of it.
No kid.
It was a great year, and you may not see the same record next year. You can never know from year to year because high school's so variable. Just 1 or 2 players on Oak Ridge, on Powell, they make huge differences. We may never see it, frankly, a season in the regular season this well again, but as I was pointing out with the 3 to 5 loss teams, you can still do well in the playoffs. And that's your ultimate goal, is to have your team ready to play in the playoffs. I know that you guys are going to do that.
Yeah, we got to be peaking at the right time. I felt like we were this year. I thought we played Gibbs first round playoffs. I felt like that was one of the most complete games we played. Against Knox West, it wasn't. We kind of took a few steps back there, but I think a lot of things went into that we're going to address as a coaching staff and make sure it doesn't happen again.
I mean, the old saying, you can't coach speed. And I know that we have players that are just as fast as a lot of their players, but a lot of it, they had a huge advantage to not having to platoon people, of being able to completely, run 2 separate teams.
Yeah, and the main thing was their team speed. It's just and they're very disciplined, well coached, and it's something that we've seen it now, and that's one thing that we can stress to our guys, that to get to that level, there's going to be things that we got to improve on, and it's always good. You always got to find out what other teams are doing to get better, and we got to make sure that we can reach that level.
The score of that game got lopsided quickly, but it was just a couple of small mistakes that you made, especially in the special teams department, that caused that to happen. And that's how football is. You make a couple of small mistakes, and you find yourself way behind. The last 3 quarters of the game, that was essentially a 21-21 game. The defense stepped up and started playing well. The special teams got things under control somewhat. And the offense actually started moving the ball a little bit, but just those few mistakes, and you were already pretty far behind.
Yeah, that's one thing they realize. You got to, we stress it to them, but you got to get off to a fast start, especially when you're playing at that level against a team like Knox West.
Now here's one of the big ones. We mentioned it before we went on the air. Of course, the internet's abuzz about it. Now there were the rumor mill's flying. But let's talk about the Central job real quick.
The thing is, when you're having a lot of success at a program, people want to be a part of that. Whether it's fans want to be a part of it, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's other schools that want to kind of see what you're doing and try to take advantage of that. But there's going to be some opportunities that come up, probably for our coaching staff, whether it's, for me and Matt going to be a head coach somewhere, or maybe one of our assistants that are looking to move on and better themselves. The thing about football is, it always provides opportunities for you and your family and things that you can do. And if you have certain goals, sometimes those opportunities can set you on the right track to get there. But, with the Central job open, there are the rumors out there that they could have contacted me and Matt, or that they want us there. And, right now, we're just focused on Campbell County. And, I don't see any reason that we're not here next year. I think that, the center. I got a lot of respect for that program and for their principal. Jody Goins, known him for a long time, but you know, there's not been any contact there. But I don't think there will be as far as interest in that job. You know, we're very happy where we are at Campbell County. We want to be in Campbell County for a very long time. I enjoy these players. I told somebody today we got 9 players back on offense. It's probably not very smart if I decide to go somewhere else.
Right.
So somebody's gonna come in here and really have a lot of talent to work with. So, but I love these kids. I love this community. I love being at this school. And there's not a place right now that I see myself coaching at other than Campbell County.
No, that's
At this level of football, I could never blame one of your assistants or anybody else or even you or any other coach. If you get an opportunity to improve things for your family, you have to take that. I mean, it's not like you're in college and getting paid $5 million a year here or $4 million at this place. But I could never blame a coach for anything like that. Like, I know some of your assistants are going to be in high demand, and because they did a wonderful job. It's a good thing if your coaches and your assistant coaches are in demand for somewhere else. That means you're doing a great job.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's better that they want you than they don't want you. So that's but again, to me, it all goes back to our players, and they wouldn't be talking about us if our players didn't do what they were supposed to and bought into what we wanted them to do, and then go out and make some plays. And you know, so that's the tie that we have. We want to coach these guys. We want to see it through. There's a lot of things that we've not done yet. Since, you know, we said, and like I said, we went from 3 wins to 10, and that's something we wanted to do. That we think it happened that fast, we don't know. But you know, there's a lot of things that when we came here, we wanted to get done, and there's still that we've not done yet. So we're going to make sure that we're here and we're working hard to reach everything that we've thought we could do here.
Fair enough.
well. I'm pretty sure about wraps it up. Fans, we all here at Sports Chat hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks, Coach.